All right, Grizzly Risley here, 8.4 day one. Today we're going to start something new and it can be a little tough. It's called factoring. Okay, so factoring is the same thing as undoing distributing. So you guys are pros at distributing. Now we're going to go backwards and it's called factoring. Okay, and today we're going to factor out the GCF. You guys ever heard GCF? Greatest common factor? Okay, so today we're factoring out the GCF. But let's start with a little review. So feel free to pause and try these. Let's just make sure you guys know how to distribute, right? You multiply into both pieces, right? So you would get 12x plus 42y, right? We know how to distribute. Factoring is going backwards, and factoring is saying, what do both of these have in common? Like, what number divides into 12 and 42? And you would say 6. Like, find the biggest number that divides into both. So you would pull that out. And then you would draw parentheses and say, okay, well, once you divided the 6 out, what's left inside? So you would divide. 12x divided by 6 would be 2x. And 42y divided by 6 would be 7y. That's all we're doing. It's just the opposite of distributing. Okay, let's do one more warm-up. So go ahead and distribute. So we're going to multiply. So this would be 4x to the fourth plus 24x cubed. Okay, now how would we go backwards? And these are a little bit harder. So first, what number divides into 4 and 24? What can you pull out? What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and 24? And hopefully you guys would say 4. But not just that. We also want to pull out the most amount of x's that they both have. So if this guy has 4 x's and this guy has 3 x's, we want to pull out the amount that they both have, which means just pull out the smaller amount, so x to the third. And then you draw a parenthesis and you see what's left. So to see what's left, you divide the numbers, but you subtract the powers. It's the exact opposite as before. Remember before you would multiply and add. Now we're dividing and subtracting. Okay, well, let's do it. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. If you subtract the exponents, 4 minus 3 would be 1x left over. And then plus sign. 24 divided by 4 is 6. And then if you subtract the exponents, 3 minus 3 is 0, so there's none left. So you don't write it. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. Okay, so number one, here's what we're going to do. What is the GCF? We're going to factor it out, and then we're done. So first look at the numbers. 12 and 24. What's the greatest common factor? What number divides into both 12 and 24? The biggest one you can think of. What's 12? And then if they both have a common variable, you want to pull out the smaller amount. So if one of them has 4 and one of them has 3, that means you can only take 3 out of both. All right, that's the GCF. And then you draw a parenthesis, and we divide and subtract to see what's left inside. So 12 divided by 12 is 1. If you subtract the powers, there's 1 left over. And then plus, okay, divide. 24 divided by 12 is 2. But when you subtract the powers, 3 minus 3 is 0, so it's gone. So you guys are done. That's the answer. And if you ever want to check, you'll multiply, add, and see if you get back to where you started. Okay, let's try some more. Number 2. All right, numbers first. 8 and 12. What is the greatest common factor that divides into both 8 and 12? And it's 4. So we're going to pull out a 4. Now, these are different variables, so you cannot pull any of those out. So only a 4 on this one. All right, let's just divide both pieces by 4. 8x divided by 4 is 2x, plus 12y divided by 4 is 3y. And that's it. So those are easy. When they only have a number in common, not too bad. Okay, let's go down and do a couple more. How about number 5? Okay, numbers first. 2 and 8. What is the greatest common factor of 2 and 8? And it's 2. And then they both have x's, so you can pull out the smaller amount. So out of 2 and 1, the smaller amount is x to the 1. Okay, so you can pull out a 2x. And now we divide and subtract. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And when you subtract the exponents, 2 minus 1 is just 1x left over. And then plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. And when you subtract the exponents, you get 0, so it's gone, so you don't write it, and that's your answer. All right, last one, number 6. So numbers first. Out of 6 and 15, what is the greatest common factor? 6 and 15 both divide by 3. And then they both have an n, so that means you can pull out the smaller amount. So we can pull out a single n, or n1. All right, divide and subtract. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And if you subtract the exponents, there is 1 n left. And then minus sign. 15 divided by 3 is 5. But the 1 minus 1 is 0, so it's gone. So we are done. Okay, so that's dividing out the GCF. Feel free to stop, guys. This is a good time to stop. If you would like, I will do, I'll do 7 and 8 also. I just want to check there's not any more here. No, okay. So 7 and 8 if you'd like. So 7, numbers first. So 3 and 18, you can pull out a 3. And since they both have x's, you can pull out the smaller amount, so x1. All right, divide and subtract. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And if you subtract the x's, there's 1 left. And then plus 18 divided by 3 is 6. And the 1 minus 1 is 0, so it's gone. All right, and then you guys should try number 8 on your own. I just want to make sure that there's not another page that I'm missing here. No. Okay. So numbers first. 4 and 14. 4 and 14 have a GCF of 2. And since they both have an s, we can pull out the smaller amount, so just an s. And then divide and subtract. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then 2 minus 1 is 1s left over. And then minus sign. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then 1 minus 1 is 0, so it's gone. All right, the more you do, you guys see they're not so bad. Okay, so that was factoring out the GCF.